welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campia.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California, and we are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also here, AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis Zen.
Got to check out Whiplash over the weekend. Wonderful movie, just because Amy Rose and yourself, Alicia, were praising it so much on AMCI, Indie Spotlight, and I checked it out and it was great.
Great. And also here, AMC's very own Alicia Malone.
Yes, everyone should check out Whiplash and check out Birdman, and I love how this says Malone joins BVS. I thought for a second that was me on the side there. Woo! I wish.
The box office results are in as a battle-hardened tank crew takes the top spot. The new Brad Pitt film Fury comes in at #1, making over $23 million, marking the biggest opening for David Ayer's directing career. In the #2 spot is Gone Girl in its third week of release, making just under $18 million. In the third spot is the new animated film The Book of Life with just over $17 million. And fourth is Disney's film Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, adding another $12 million to its total. And rounding out the top 5 is the new Nicholas Sparks film, The Best of Me, making just $10 million on its opening weekend. John, what stands out to you about this weekend's box office results?
Well, there are a couple things that stand out to me, but the biggest standout to me is the film that's not even on the list, but we'll get to that in a second. Very happy for David Ayer, his biggest opening. It's weird to think that $23 million represents the biggest opening of his directorial career, but it is, and it deserves the #1 spot. Fury was a very solid movie. We did Dennis and Schnepp and I did a spoilers review for it a couple of days ago. I'm not over the moon about it, but I really liked it. I think I gave it a 7.5. I think you gave it an 8.
Yeah.
Schnepp gave it a 7.5. Very happy for it. Super excited that Gone Girl is still hanging on to the #2 spot in its third week, making really good bank. It's awesome when you get box office results come in and like the top 2 films aren't just popular, they're really solid quality films. So those are the things that really stand out to me. However, the #5 spot, the new Nicholas Sparks film, when I looked at the results here, for Best of Me, I thought it is incredible, though, the amazing creativity that goes into everything Nicholas Sparks. So it goes right from the directors all the way down to even the people who designed the posters. Let's look at this amazing creativity in the Nicholas Sparks posters. Let's bring that image up. So look at the insane originality in every single one of these posters.
The almost kiss.
Yeah, like the almost kiss. They're so distinct and unique from each other. That's incredible. Dennis, was it you and me that were laughing about this the other day? Like we were looking at Nicholas Sparks movies and realized every single poster is the same. All their movies are the same. Please, let's be done with Nicholas Sparks movies. Anyway, but the big thing, you know what? I'm not even going to the big thing because I know one of you guys will bring it up. I'll leave it for you. So Alicia, let's start with you. What stands out to you about the box office report?
Well, I'm excited that Fury did really well. I agree with you guys. I thought it was a really solid movie. They did exit polls, as they do on the audience who went to see Fury, and they noticed it was 51% was over the age of 35. So it's great that it appealed to an adult demographic, and then that makes sense why The Book of Life and Alexander and the blah, blah, blah did so well again. Gone Girl I loved, so I'm glad that is still hanging around. Fury didn't open as big as Gone Girl did in its opening weekend, but 23 million, still solid. But Best of Me, I mean, it made half as much or less than half as much as Safe Haven, which was the last Nicholas Sparks movie. So it is not doing as well, I guess, as they hoped. But yeah, the one that I know we were talking about beforehand was Birdman, which opened in only 4 locations. Each of those locations made $100,000, which is huge for something like that.
Now let's put that in perspective, okay? So the #1 movie at the box office was Fury, and it made a very impressive $7,400 per screen. Those are really good numbers. That's a number we don't, in an analytic, we don't talk about much. But it's the per screen number. 7,400 is really solid. Gone Girl, which came second place at the box office, made an average of $5,400 per screen. Birdman made over $100,000 per screen. You think there might be a little bit of excitement for this film? I'm super stoked. Anyway, Dennis, your thoughts on the box office?
For me, the two things that stand out have nothing to do with the #1 movie, Fury. It has to do with, first, Gone Girl. It has legs, like we talked about.
Yeah.
It's one of those water cooler movies that people want to talk about, and if you haven't seen it, they want you to see it so they can talk about it. Love it or hate it. I'm more on the love side. They want some sort of discussion about it. So that's why that's going to keep going on, and hopefully the next few weeks. And yeah, Nicholas Sparks, the best of me, half as much as the last one. I think people are it's Nicholas Sparks fatigue. I haven't really watched any of his movies. I've seen 20 minutes of, I think, Walk in the Clouds or
Walk to Remember.
One of those.
Yeah.
20 minutes was
A
enough
walk to
for
the
me.
store.
Yeah, and I was just like, I got to turn this off because it was on TV and I had to turn it off. So I think people are getting fatigued with it. There's nothing new there.
I finally got around to seeing Birdman. You'd seen Birdman a while ago. We're not going to go into a full review here, but dear heavens. I mean, we've all been hearing Michael Keaton is going to be a lock for one of the Best Actor spots. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Take that to the bank. He's going to be nominated for Best Actor in this. I mean, it's so, and the movie's so good, and I can't wait till we have the opportunity to talk about it a little bit more.
Yes.
All right, what's next?
According to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, The Hunger Games and Sucker Punch star Jena Malone has joined the cast of the upcoming Batman vs. Superman movie. Many movie sites are speculating that Malone will be playing a female Robin, perhaps Carrie Kelly from the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel. John, what are your thoughts on this report?
Well, okay, we heard a while ago that Jena Malone was spotted around the set and of Batman vs. Superman. Some people speculated maybe she's in the movie, maybe she's just hanging out because her and Zack Snyder, who directed her in Sucker Punch, they are good friends, so maybe they're just hanging out. But then The Hollywood Reporter came out and said that they've heard from several key sources, and The Hollywood Reporter is fairly trustworthy, said they've heard from several key sources that she does have a role in the film. Now, what has happened here is that a whole bunch of news sites have taken that one nugget of information that Jena Malone is in Batman vs. Superman. And they've all started running with headlines and stories and speculation about she's going to be Robin. She's going to be Carrie Kelly. Now, for those of you who don't know the graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns, one of the best graphic novels ever written, and that a lot of Batman vs. Superman is going to be based on, the Robin in that is a 13-year-old girl named Carrie Kelly, a redhead girl. And that's the other thing a lot of people have seen. Jena Malone's got some red in her hair now. Yeah. She must be Robin. So, and you know what? She very well may well be. I mean, she could be. I mean, it's possible. Carrie Kelly's 13 years old. Jena Malone is in her 30s. But hey, whatever. Maybe they'll make some adaptations or whatever. But it is kind of weird seeing the online movie space running so headlong into this. She's going to be Robin in the new Batman vs. Superman, to the point that I've got tons of people reading on other sites and then tweeting me, like, the last 24 or 48 hours has all been people tweeting me and Facebook messaging me, John, what do you think about Jena Malone's going to be Robin? John, what do you think about the news that Robin's going to be played by Jena Malone? It's like, what? It's all based on that one fact that came out that she's in the movie. And like I said, she might be Robin, who knows? But it reminded me of a situation not so long ago when there was now I always mispronounce Scoot's last name. It's Scoot McNairy.
McNairy, yeah.
I remember a while ago, they started having these. Every website was running with these stories that Scoot McNairy is probably Flash. I mean, let's look at some of these. So let's bring up some of these right now. These are some of the headlines, like, who is Scoot McNairy? With a big picture of Flash under it. And this is from one of the best websites of movie news in the world. There's another one here. I can't remember where this one's from. You say, Scoot McNairy to play the Flash in Batman vs. Superman. Let's bring up another one. These are all real headlines. McNairy is the Flash in Batman vs. Superman. Let's bring up the next one. Is Scott McNairy the Flash in Batman vs. Superman? Let's bring up another headline. These are all from major sites, by the way. Is Scott McNairy playing the Flash in Batman vs. Is that the last one, or is there another one? Oh, there was another one there, yeah. Batman vs. Superman, set photos, reveal or tease McNairy as the Flash. Okay, so everybody starts running with this story. Scoot McNairy, suggesting to everybody that Scoot McNairy is probably going to be the Flash, everybody. Wow! Here's where, now just like the Jena Malone thing comes from the one nugget of truth that Jena Malone's going to be in Batman vs. Superman. Where did all these stories, what was the big source that revealed that Scoot McNairy is going to be the Flash? From this. Let's bring this up. This one picture got leaked from the set of Batman vs. Superman, and oh my God, Scoot McNairy is wearing green socks.
He's wearing chroma green socks.
Chroma green socks. That must mean
He's legless. No.
well, legless, but that must mean he's gonna. I'm not kidding. This is it. This is the sole thing that all of those headlines we just showed you based this whole Scoot McNairy is going to be the Flash. And of course, now we know for a fact that Scoot McNairy is not going to be playing the Flash. But based on this one little nugget, everybody started running it with like crazy. Look, am I saying that Jenna Malone is not going to be Robin? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's not get so far ahead of ourselves yet to start saying that this 30-some-odd-year-old actress, who's terrific, by the way, I love her,
Yeah.
is going to play this 13-year-old Robin, which I'm sure they would change it up a whole bunch, and if it's true. There is a possibility it's true. All I'm saying is, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, this is the whole reason why I refused to have us run with that Scoot McNairy Flash story when it came out, because it was just baseless. At least the Jenna Malone thing, there's a little nugget of truth in there. She's going to be in the movie, so there's something there, but yeah, look, I'm excited she's in the movie because she's a talented actress. I have no thoughts on her being Robin because we have nothing to base that assumption on or even speculation on yet. There's nothing here to speculate about yet. So let's just hold our horses a little bit. Anyway, you guys read all this story and stuff like that. Dennis, what did you think about it?
I mean, I think she could be Robin, but they'd have to definitely take it in a different direction. I think she'd have to be some sort of like computer whiz, tech gadget person on the side, maybe calling some shots from the Batcave, telling Batman what to, you know what I mean? Versus dressed up in the green and yellow outfit running around fighting, I don't know. So that's the only way I can see it happening.
Yeah, I'm glad she's in the film. As you said, she's a great actress. She's good at playing tough characters, like we saw her in Hunger Games and also in Sucker Punch.
A real
with
tough,
Zack
strong
Snyder.
female
Great,
character. Yeah.
and as YouTube knows, I'm all about gender diversity and racial diversity in these superhero films, so that's great. But yeah, everyone's speculating so much about which character she could play. I know she posted an Instagram of her hair red, so that's when everyone went crazy.
Like, whoa, red!
She must be.
mean.
But it could also be Barbara Gordon.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? You don't know what direction. And I never get too excited about these speculation until it's confirmed.
Yeah.
Because as you said, it just goes crazy for a while.
Yeah, and once again, just to we're not saying she's not going to be Carrie Kelly.
Yeah, just say, who knows?
We're saying there's nothing to say she is or isn't yet, so let's just take a breath. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Hasbro Studios has greenlit an animated feature film of My Little Pony. The script will be written by Ice Age Continental Drift writer Joe Ballerini and is targeting a 2017 release date. Alicia, buy or sell a My Little Pony movie?
I buy this. I mean, I was a huge My Little Pony fan when I was young, and they're still so popular. You've got the TV shows, and even my mum was cleaning out all my old toys and selling them on eBay, and the My Little Pony toys went for so much money. Probably to bronies, but let's not think about that. This is going to be produced in-house at Hasbro. I'm glad it's animated. I like the writer from the Ice Age coming in. Maybe it'll have some humor. It'll definitely be for kids, but the producer, writer on the TV series is coming on board too. And along with Gem and the Holograms, it's one of the first pictures coming from the AllSpark Pictures production company.
Right.
So I think it makes marketing sense. They can sell some toys. Kids will love it.
Dennis?
I buy that they're making an animated movie for this. I sell that it's going to be awkward on opening weekend when all the parents bring their daughters to come see this movie, and there's these older gentlemen in there without any children watching it with their brony T-shirts on.
So weird. Yeah.
Now, I got to give some full disclosure here.
You're a brony?
My opinion might be a little colored, and while I had never even heard of the term brony, but my wife Anne has recently become the senior project manager at Hasbro.
Yes.
And so she's got the inside stuff on a lot of things. And right now I'm not kidding, I have some My Little Ponies in my living room. But anyway, so. Look, I buy this in Rye because it does have a following. Not only does it have a nostalgia factor like a lot of the old 80s cartoon stuff that we're often talking about, whether it's G.I. Joe or Thundercats, whatever, but it's also got a current following, a fairly successful animated world, and kids love it. I think this will be great for a lot of kids to watch. And I had never even heard of the term brony until Anne started working at Hasbro. She goes, have you ever heard of bronies? It's like, what the hell is that? And then John Delancey, we just had the guy who played Q in Star Trek The Next Generation was in our office recently. He just narrated a documentary about bronies, apparently. So I'm like,
wow.
This is a phenomenon, I guess, going around. So while I am not a brony myself, I don't get it, but that's fine. I think kids will love it. I think this will be great for them. So for me, it's a buy.
Alrighty, with Avengers Age of Ultron opening in AMC theaters in just over 6 months, Marvel Studios executive producer Victoria Alonso recently spoke at the Visual Effects Society and claimed the new film will have over 3,000 visual effects shots. To put that into perspective, that is over 250 more VFX shots than in Guardians of the Galaxy and over 1,000 more than in Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Dennis, buy or sell this many effects shots for Avengers Age of Ultron?
I buy it. Some people don't realize nowadays that a lot of movies have visual effects. Not just we're talking about, like, let's say the CG effects of the Hulkbuster armor fighting the Hulk. That everyone knows that, right?
Right.
But take a look at a movie like Gone Girl. The reason why they edited in Premiere was so that they could go to After Effects to do visual effects. That movie has hundreds of visual effects in it. You just don't know. You don't see it. They're all cleanup effects. So.
Right.
Something like Age of Ultron is going to have all the CG stuff plus tons of other stuff, just little tiny like user interface stuff, logo changes on buildings. There's going to be so much. It's more of what shots aren't going to have any visual effects on them. So I totally buy this.
Alicia?
Yeah, I buy this too. It makes sense. I mean, you've got all the characters, as you said, who need visual effects and their equipment, like Iron Man, Hulkbuster, and then you have the new characters like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and then Ultron, and then Ultron's army. So it makes complete sense. They also said they're going to use about 12 different visual effects companies from about 7 different countries around the world, and one of those, of course, is Industrial Light and Magic, and they've created this new performance capture system that can really capture more of the performances, like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I think that is really cool. So more visual effects doesn't necessarily mean a better movie, but I think they're planning something big. So yeah, I'm buying this.
Yeah, I buy it. But minimalistically, I buy this. You know, and you know when they say there's going to be 12 visual effects company, that only counts the 12 visual effects companies that Marvel themselves will contract. It doesn't count then all the smaller visual effects companies that those 12 companies will subcontract out to.
Amazing.
I used to work in the 3D CGI visual effects world, and we were a small VFX company up in Canada. And we worked on a lot of major Hollywood motion pictures. And it was always from another company that got the contract, and it was way too much that they could do, so that they passed down some of the shots to us. So there's probably going to be, like, when it's all said and done, probably like 30 companies are going to work on this.
Lots of jobs.
Yeah, lots of jobs. I think the key thing here is this, though. A huge amount of visual effects shots does not mean the movie's going to be great, and it doesn't mean it's not going to be great. What I'm really curious to hear, though, I've got a number of friends who are big Marvel fans. But they've also, and you're watching, my friends are watching this right now, and they know exactly who they are, who will whine and complain and moan about how the new Star Wars movies, way over-reliance on CGI, way over-reliance on visual effects. This movie is going to have over 1,000 more, 33% more visual effects shots than The Phantom Menace did. I want to hear if they're going to complain about that. Yeah. I'm going to bet they're not. But the whole point here is that visual effects is just a tool. It's neither good nor bad. It's how it's used. So having lots of it is not a good or bad thing. Having a little of it is not a good or bad thing. It's all about how they use the effects. We'll see how it goes. All right, what's next?
According to a report in The Wrap, actor Tom Hardy has been approached to play the title character of Apocalypse in the upcoming X-Men Age of Apocalypse film. Apocalypse, also known as En-Sabah-Nur, is the world's first mutant who was born in Egypt around 3000 BC and used advanced technology to make himself an eternal conqueror, believing wholeheartedly in survival of the fittest and the culling of the weak. John, buy or sell the report of Tom Hardy as Apocalypse?
I sell it for now. I would be thrilled. I think he'd be a great actor to play Apocalypse. I think that's great. Although I think Apocalypse is probably going to mostly be CGI. But even just having his voice and his mannerisms and maybe him motion capturing, that would be great. But I'm going to sell it, although it's certainly a possibility. But let's not keep in mind, there's all these reports coming out of the Hollywood Reporter, too, that Tom Hardy is in like negotiations now to be in Suicide Squad, and that he's going to be in this, and he's going to be in that, and he's going to be in everything else, and he's going to be in everything. Plus, let's keep in mind this one's coming from The Wrap, and I know I'm being hard on them lately, but The Wrap is also the same outlet that reported to us last week or 2 weeks ago that Box Office Mojo had been shut down and absorbed into IMDb when that was all bull. So take it with a grain of salt. It might be true. It might, and I'll be excited if it is, but there's too many things stacked up against it right now for me to buy into it, so for now I'm going to sell. Dennis?
I'll buy it just because an actor of his caliber is probably approached with a lot of things, and
Yeah.
this is probably one of those things. It's more a question of how serious is it and how close is he actually interested in it. I actually think he would do a good job in it because he can bring that kind of power and presence and instill fear and intellect with that character.
Alicia?
Yeah, I buy the concept. Again, wait until anything is actually confirmed. But there's a good reason why Tom Hardy's name keeps coming up, because it's so rare to find an actor who has this physicality and is a brilliant actor at the same time. That's really hard to find. So there's a reason why he keeps getting mentioned for Doctor Strange and Suicide Squad. And I think one thing's for sure, he won't have to worry about work for the next few years, because he's doing The Revenant at the moment, Inarritu's movie, and then possibly Catherine Bigelow's True American, and then Splinter Cell, the video game adaptation.
Suicide Squad.
Everything.
And you want to talk about diversity? Okay, look at this guy. This is the guy who's going to be playing Elton John.
Yeah.
This guy is playing Elton John. Like, that's how
amazing.
wildly talented he is.
Yeah.
Was that it for Buy or Sell? That was it for Buy or Sell. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, if you're watching us live, we're going to save a few minutes at the end of the show to take some of your live Twitter questions. Just tweet to us at AMC Movie News. But for now, let's get to the Mailbag questions. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Suhai Brim writes, "Hi AMC, love your show. I was wondering if you have heard anything on the Starship Troopers reboot/remake lately. I also heard a while ago that this time they are staying close to the source material and the soldiers would have some special suits. And what do you guys think of this? Thanks a lot. Keep up the great work."
The original Starship Troopers is one of the great examples of an awesome bad movie. Like, it's a bad movie, but it's awesome. It's a fun movie to watch, and it's so terrible in so many ways. It's classic that way. But I mean, they put out a lot of straight to VOD sequels and that kind of spin-off stuff, and they've declined in how much interest has been in them. About 2 years ago, reports have come out that they were officially working on a reboot to this franchise, and nothing kind of materialized. Then about 4 months ago, one of the producers put out a kind of a cryptic tweet that just said, "Would you like to know more?" Which, if you saw the original, you know that's a standard thing. Cryptic, but that's all we got to go on. But that was 4 months ago, and we still haven't heard anything. I gotta tell you, I would be into a reboot of it. It's like celebrating fascism. I mean, it's so twisted and weird and crazy in a lot of different ways that it's really fun to watch. I'd be into it, but I have my doubts that we're ever going to see it. Alicia, have you heard anything?
I haven't. I mean, I remember reading those reports a few months ago from that tweet and one in January talking about the script, but nothing's confirmed. But I agree. I'd like to see a reboot of this. This is what we were talking about the other day, how a remake, you know, it should be something that's great from the source material that maybe could be updated for today. And the source material, if they stick to the Robert Heinlein novel, is actually really interesting. It was really controversial for the late 1950s, and there's a lot to it. So I'd like to see it happen. Although I wouldn't like to see, because Paul Verhoeven's films have been remade a lot.
Crazy.
Like Total Recall and
RoboCop.
The only one I don't want to see remade is Showgirls, because it's brilliant. Don't touch that.
Yeah, it's Megan Ellison, the owner and runner of Annapurna Pictures. She's the one who put out that tweet of, "Would you like to know more?" And someone tweeted a picture of Starship Troopers, and she wrote yes. So, and she's involved with the Terminator Genesis.
Actually, Annapurna was like the company that really got the whole thing going with
Yeah,
Terminator
they bought
Genesis.
the rights back, and then that probably means either they got the rights or they're in negotiations for it. I disagree with you though, because I think Starship Troopers is an awesome, good movie, and really, it really depends on whether you think Paul Verhoeven is doing some of the stuff on purpose or not. So I believe he did, like the cheesy parts. I think he did on purpose. But anyways, I love the original. I like the satire on war and propaganda. Reboot, maybe they'll stay close. I didn't read the book, but I guess people said that it veered a lot from the book, and so maybe this one will stay closer to that.
Yeah, I think the book was more serious.
Yeah. Did you go with me and Soul and a bunch of guys? We went to a riff track screening of Starship Troopers, and that was hilarious. They were so mean to Jake Busey.
Yeah.
They were so mean. All right, what's next?
Sahil Charania writes, "Hello everyone at AMC. I watch the show daily. I know that Channing Tatum is getting a lot of Oscar buzz for his role in the upcoming Foxcatcher. I'm curious if his next movie, Jupiter Ascending, gets bad reviews or is in fact really bad. Do you think this will hurt his chances of winning an Oscar? I know it shouldn't, but do you think it will? A few years ago, Eddie Murphy was up for an Oscar for his role in Dreamgirls, but people said that he lost because Norbit was so awful, and it just happened to be in theaters when the Oscars came out. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks."
Well, I mean, let's start with Channing Tatum. I think the biggest thing that's going to hurt Channing Tatum's chances of an Oscar nomination for Foxcatcher, and I have not seen Foxcatcher yet, but let's assume for a second that it's arguably an Oscar caliber performance. Okay, let's start with that. Let's just work with that for now. I think the biggest thing that will hurt him in his chances to actually secure a nomination won't be Jupiter Ascending, but will rather be that right now all the buzz is about Steve Carell in that film. So he may get actually overshadowed by Steve Carell. I think that might hurt his chances. Once again, that's just assuming he turns in an Oscar, nomination-worthy performance. With Eddie Murphy did not lose out on the Oscar because of Norbit. Eddie Murphy lost that Oscar because he didn't deserve to win it. It's just that cut and dry. He didn't. Like, I'm not even completely sure he should have been one of the nominees. Although I think he was good enough that I wouldn't argue his nomination at all. But out of the 5 who were nominated, he's 5th. I personally thought Djimon Hounsou should have won that year for Blood Diamond, so I would put him above Eddie Murphy. Alan Arkin won for Little Miss Sunshine. I put him next. Next, I would probably have Mark Ruffalo from The Departed. I thought he deserved it next. And then Jackie Earle Haley. His performance, I would put him above Eddie Murphy that year. Eddie Murphy was great in Dreamgirls, don't get me wrong, but he didn't deserve to win that year, and that's what stopped him from winning the Academy Award. Anyway, Alicia, what do you think?
I agree with you. I don't think it was Norbit that did him in. And I don't think Jupiter Ascending will hurt Channing Tatum's chances at all. I don't even think it's going to be a bad movie. I think they don't have the confidence in it that they did before, but it's still a Wachowski film. It's still going to be entertaining and fun to watch. I cannot wait to see Foxcatcher, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Channing and Steve, as in which category they place them in. I haven't seen the film yet, so I'm not sure how much screen time each of them get, but the Best Actor category is so crowded this year that they might try both or maybe push Steve. I've seen a lot of press about Steve, especially, so I think they'll definitely push him for a nomination. Hopefully Channing.
Dennis?
I think in general, a person's career kind of subconsciously affects people's perceptions of them. So for someone like Channing Tatum, people are going to think 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Magic Mike. What was that Nicholas Sparks movie he was in?
Speaking of Nicholas Sparks.
Dear John.
And maybe not the last one, but the other ones, we're not talking about bad movies, but he has more of a comical impression or perception of him. So I think those things can subconsciously affect them. But if the performance is strong enough, maybe he can overcome it.
And sometimes it affects them in a good way, as in people go, I never thought he could do that performance. And then it makes that performance seem even better than perhaps it is.
Well, my favorite performance is a movie that most people haven't seen, which is The Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, which is Robert Downey Jr., Rosario Dawson, and Shia LaBeouf. And he was actually really good in it. So.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we said we saved just a couple of minutes for your live Twitter questions. We're going to do that right now. Firing them on in. We're going to get through some of them here rapid fire style. So, Ashley, what have you picked out?
Casanova Calrissian writes, "If any version of Robin is in B versus S, don't you believe that DC is playing with fire?"
Well, I mean, it really depends. Like I've said this before, I'm not going to go into a whole rant about it. I believe I'm almost going to give up on Batman versus Superman if they bring in golly Batman, if they bring in a 14 or 15-year-old Robin. That's stupid. It's great in the comic books. I'm a huge fan. Almost nobody knows as much about the comic book incarnations of Dick Grayson as I do. I'm a huge Dick Grayson fan, huge Robin fan in the comics. But I don't think having this Batman who's supposed to be the type of character that he is in the live-action movies is somebody who would tote around a child into life-threatening situations. Now, I have also always said that if you change him completely, like a lot of people say, John, what if, you just forget Robin, just bring in Nightwing, he's a 21-year-old dude, just whatever. It's like, okay, that can work, but just understand then that that's not Robin anymore. That's not the core of who Dick Grayson is anymore. Now it's a new character that you're just calling Dick Grayson, you're just calling Nightwing. And if that's what they want to do, I'm totally fine with it. I'm cool with that. So if they do bring in a Robin incarnation, it will have to be heavily heavily changed up from the source material for it to work on the big screen, in my opinion. So, hey, a 31-year-old Carrie Kelly. Okay, I mean, if that's the case and that's where they go, I could be okay with it. Just don't have a 12-year-old kid in spandex tights running around going, golly, Batman. I mean, just don't do it. Anyway, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. There's very little chance of that happening, but more along the lines of what you're saying, where they call a character Robin, but a lot of the things have changed, and if Jenna Malone is that character, maybe it's like what I was talking about, like a sidekick from, more of a technical standpoint.
That's true.
It's interesting how many iterations there have been of Robin throughout all the comics, from what I understand, and a lot of my comic book loving friends say that Nightwing, even though not directly Robin, is the coolest character that they would love to see in the cinematic universe. Just anyone besides what they did with Chris O'Donnell in Batman and Robin.
Holy rusted metal Batman.
No.
Oh, gosh. Okay, what's next?
Langley M. Neely writes, is there a movie rumor you didn't believe at the time, but upon seeing the film, you were surprised the rumor was true?
Yeah, it absolutely happens. It absolutely happens. The problem, of course, comes in where it's like 10% or 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 30 don't end up being actually real, and then people use that as an example, arguing any rumor that comes out. Well, John, you didn't believe that rumor, that one was true. Yeah, that was like 1 out of 100. That's what frustrates me. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I know, but my head is something. I know that there have been situations where I thought something wasn't true, and that it does end up being true. And that's why whenever I say, look, I don't believe this, blah, 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 but let's not discount the possibility, because even if it's only 10%, that's still a possibility. So that's why you have to keep your mind open about these things. Anyway, what about you guys? Can you think of stuff that you've heard that you never would have believed in 1,000 years, but then it ended up being real?
I can't think of anything out of the top of my head, but similar to what you're talking about, I got a comment recently about Marvel Civil War, like, why is this big news? The fans have been predicting this for years. I'm like, okay, fans have been predicting a million things,
Yeah.
and this one happened to possibly come true. So it's like, that's not really an argument to be had. You can't be like, oh, well, yeah, we've been saying this. Well, you've been saying this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, and this movie.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Ben Affleck news came completely out of the blue, didn't it? But if there were rumors about him, I wouldn't have believed it until he was cast. And then also there's things like not believing that a character can actually be good. Like Quicksilver, I was so against him in X-Men Days of Future Past till I saw him. I remember looking at pictures of his outfit and going, he just looks ridiculous.
Yes.
And then I saw that scene and I was blown away. So, yeah.
He's a 1970s Daft Punk reject.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like. I mean, okay, time for one more.
All right. Sia Patel writes, why is Jennifer Lawrence so popular in your opinion?
Because she's
real.
ridiculously talented.
Yeah.
I could care. First of all, I find her incredibly charming and incredibly real. She does really have that girl next door type of feel. I remember she came and did an interview with us, and she came into our hotel room, and she came in, and the first thing she said, no, you weren't there that day. She walked in the door of my hotel room, and I'm there, and I've got my crew. And the first thing she does, she looks at me, she walks over, kind of hobbling a bit. She says to me, she says, look, would you mind if I just took my shoes off? I know that's kind of gross, but these things are killing me. And I'm like, absolutely. So she took her shoes off. She just did her whole interview with us, like without her shoes on. And she was just so real and normal. But none of that matters if you can't act. And I remember when she burst on the scene with Winter's Bone, we all stood back and went, holy crap. We got to watch out for this one. Because she was a young girl at the time. And she took this heavy, heavy movie, put it all on her shoulders. Great performance by Jonathan Hawke as well. But she took that movie, put it on her shoulders, and carried that film. And like you see very, very few actors have the capability of doing. She's for real. Do I get sick of the overhype of Jennifer Lawrence? Sure, as much as anybody else I do. But don't confuse that for her being overrated. Don't confuse that for her not being the real deal. She's the real deal. Is she the next coming of Meryl Streep? Let's give her some time to figure that out. I think that's going overboard right now. But for now, she's as heavyweight gets in the business. I mean, she's real good. Anyway, what do you guys think?
I like her a lot. Yeah, it comes down to talent. I mean, she's beautiful, talented, and she seems like a very likable person. Why wouldn't people love her? I guess I'm just sick of this whole, like, I see this person too much, and therefore I must hate them. You know, like that happened to Anne Hathaway, and now it's starting to happen with Jennifer Lawrence.
We do it with music too, right? Great song, but I've heard it a million times now. I'm sick of that song. Yeah,
that
absolutely.
song sucks now.
Yeah.
But you loved it like 2-3 months ago, didn't you? No, it sucks.
Yeah, and the overexposure when half of the time it's not even her, it's just articles about her that go out and about. But I agree, she is just an incredible actress. Watching her, I don't understand how someone that young can really understand these characters that she plays, who are often really complex and complicated and older than she is. She's just brilliant. And I remember interviewing her for Silver Linings Playbook, the first time I met her, and I was trying to be all smart, saying like, oh, so when you're in the character, you just get lost in the character. And she was like, no, I'm just thinking about what's for lunch. just to hit my mark so that we can get out of here. And I was like, I love you, you're great.
And she is a genius. So, like, you remember, she was part of that whole leaked nude images thing that went out there, right? And everybody saying, oh, no, this is going to be a scandal and whatever. And then she put out a statement just a couple of weeks ago that I remember thinking, this girl is not just like great, she's smart. She put out the statement that said, I was sitting down to write an apology letter, and then I realized I got nothing to apologize for. Boom, period, done.
Totally agree.
It's like, good for you. Good for you. Anyway, folks, that'll do it for us on this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thanks so much for joining us on this fabulous Monday. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, and yes, we do an audio-only podcast if you want to listen to it, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feeds so you can listen to the show on your way to work or at the gym or wherever you are. Also, don't forget to click the thumbs up button on that video. It's just a great way of letting us know that you like what we're doing, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my right, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on Instagram, dennis.tzeng.
The one and the only, the hyper-talented Miss Alicia Malone, not only on this show, but also one of our brand new shows, AMC Indie Spotlight. Make sure you check her out on that every week. Alicia, where can people find you online?
Well, if John Wick doesn't get me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Alicia Malone.
And we are going to be doing a John Wick spoiler review this coming week. This week, actually.
Yes.
This week. I'm so excited about that. And of course, our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
Twitter, Instagram, @AshleyMova. Happy Monday, guys.
And you can find me on the various social media networks. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, just @JohnCampia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.